We've been together for what seems like forever, but I believe it's only been about 6 hours.
And that's how the best relationships start, with an intensity that's unbreakable.
Today we have a special new guest, an awesome story to be told, and let's go ahead and meet him and see what he has to say. So, what is your name, sir?
My name's Mike Anderson.
Gringo Mike or Mike Anderson, and where are you currently living now?
I'm here in the beautiful state of Santander, Colombia, in the most beautiful pueblo called Barichara.
All right, great. And what kind of project or business do you have here in Barichara?
Well, in Barichara, where we're at now, is one of my restaurants called Gringo Mike's and Cafe Masa Madre, where we do sourdough that's been around for about 14 years.
So let's go ahead and kind of jump back into the beginning of where you're from and how you made it to that point. So where exactly are you from?
I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, about an hour south of the Canadian border.
Awesome. I'm also from nearby the Canadian border. So here we are, northern boys here. Let's start with visiting Colombia before deciding to move. When did you come here for the first time?
I just came down here backpacking, really, kind of looking for the next emerging market. This was after 2008 when there was the economic collapse. I was in the real estate business and I thought, wow, this is a good opportunity to maybe go explore and do all the things I always wanted to do, because you know when you're working and you're in work mode, you don't think about attaining those dreams or anything.
So you were doing the real estate boom. That was like the big job in those years, right? 2006, 2007, before
and I was young.
GFC.
I was only 20, 21 when I started doing the real estate, because I was bartending in downtown Seattle, and I had made a lot of contacts and started selling real estate. And
US is kind of an instant gratification type of culture, right? So you said when you were selling real estate, you sell, boom, commission, happy.
Or you don't sell, and the happiness doesn't arrive.
Yeah, right. So you were doing your job, like making pretty good money in real estate.
The crash happened in 2008, end of 2007, 2008. I was sitting at my house one evening and I was like, man, what am I gonna do now? I got this motorcycle. I just got on it. I ended up riding across America and riding all North America for like 3 months. And I had so much fun, and I didn't have a plan, and I just stopped anywhere. And
my first motorcycle trip was on a chopper as well, but it was the Suzuki, the Intruder. So you did that trip, and that kind of opened your eyes to the world?
I had so much fun just kind of exploring without a plan. And I had a couple of commission checks still coming in. At the end of it, I stayed in Montana for like a month, where my family lives, outside of Glacier National Park. And I got back to my house in Seattle, and all my friends were passed out in my house. You know, they've been using my house. They had a stack of bills this high. I looked at all these people sleeping all over the place, and I was just like, no way, I'm not coming back to this. I'm done. I had so much fun on this adventure, just opened my eyes. And the next day I posted on Craigslist, open house, everything for sale. It was probably one of the funnest days I can remember. And I sold everything. It was like my retail store, and I was like, this is so cool. And all I had left was an exercise ball and a laptop. And I booked a ticket to Rio de Janeiro for Carnival.
There you go.
And I never came back. So I basically went to Carnival for a month.
Yeah, right.
But I randomly came to Colombia because somebody said that I met in Carnival said, you want to go to Colombia? And I said, well, sure. And I got here and I never left. Brazil was a lot of fun. Great place, but you know, you could tell their economy had already taken off.
Rio was like the tourism hub at that time, right? Of Latin America.
Yeah, and then in Carnival, it was just, I mean, what a crazy experience though. I mean, the energy that was vibrant. I've never been around so much energy. It was fun, but I kind of burned out, you know. I was like, oh, I can't just, you know, have a good time forever, you know. And so I kind of kept going because my idea was to travel until I ran out of money, you know. And I was day trading while I was traveling, you know, and I ended up losing all that money day trading in Colombia when the power went out one day.
Oh.
And that's how, when I was in San Hill, actually I was in Salento that day. And then when I was in San Hill, that's why I ended up starting Gringo Mike's, because I was like, oh, I got to do something to survive here. Yeah.
By the way, we're drinking a drink that you offered me. Thank you so much. What is this drink we have here? Cheers.
Well, this is just a nice light cappuccino.
Light cappuccino to keep the energies flowing, the juices rolling. When you made it to Colombia, did you decide to stay here and live here after like a month or 2 months as a tourist?
Originally, when I first came here, after Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, I didn't know Spanish. So I was a little apprehensive. I wasn't traveling with anybody at this point. I met a girl, an English girl from Cambridge. We traveled around for about 6 weeks together, you know, and then she was done traveling and she left. And then, well, what do I do now? Because I kind of was following her around for the last 6 weeks. So I ended up just coming back here, and I stayed in a hostel. I bought a bike, and I just got lost every day in these canyons. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to stay here. And San Hill happened to be the adventure sports capital of Colombia. So the extreme sports here, you can do bungee jumping, paragliding, whitewater rafting, caving, but they didn't have any kind of full-on mountain biking and having like a fully supported first world kind of experience. And I would take kids from the hostel and I'd say, hey, you guys want to go on an adventure? And I go, you guys rent these bikes, I'll set them up for you, these cheap bikes. I mean, they weren't good bikes. And I set up, a transport, and I took them to these amazing locations in the canyons, and I sent them shooting downhill, and it was so cool. And these guys were like, man, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, how much would you pay for this? First thing is to see if there's a market.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And then the hardest part is figuring out how to articulate your value.
So you found your product market fit basically with those guys, right?
Yeah, that was the young backpacker crowd, 20 to 35 years old. So I didn't get to start the mountain biking thing at first. Because when I did the real research, I realized, well, I needed about $100,000 to start this 15 years ago, When I decided to move to Sand Hill, I thought, they had an airport they were building. So I thought, oh, they're going to have an airport. The access will be easier. Well, once you live here a long time, you see how things unfold, and the time frames they unfold aren't what you think. So I think just now they opened that airport 15 years later. But then I found out they started that project in 2007 or before. So
that's a long-term plan. So at what point did you actually start doing the business? Because you mentioned you didn't start at the beginning.
Okay. So then my tourist visa ran out, so I would have had to leave the country, and I didn't want to do that. So I looked into a business visa, and it said for the business visa, I needed to invest $40,000 into a business in the country and do, the paperwork and this and that. And so I didn't have the money at the time. I'm not really kind of the person that wants to do it without doing it right. Because I know the end result, this business is an infinite game, and you need the best chance to get that ball rolling as you can, because the odds are against you. What I was interested in was the systems that I could build around it that could work for me. It was a simple model of like an escape route for me personally, because I'll burn out. I got about 3 to 5 years in anything full on, and then I'm burned out. So the system was what I was attracted to.
And the original point of you doing this project or getting the system in place was for your visa, right?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing was about me getting a visa so I could just stay here riding my bike. Yeah. So in the end, I paid an accountant $100 or something back then, and she said, wrote the papers, said I invested the money and got a visa, and then literally I called Kat, which is my business partner from Cambridge. Hello, Kat. Maybe she'll see it. And I said, hey, you want to come live in Colombia with me? She goes, no, I just met you 6 weeks ago. I go, well, what else are you going to do? And she's like, yeah, well.
Good point.
She showed up, and she literally showed up, and 2 days later we started a business. We started working, and we worked. And I remember we opened this little sandwich shop, and, you don't make much money. There wasn't that much tourism at that point. We were kind of the beginning of it. And we were there for 15 hours a day, cooking and cleaning. And I was like, you make like $30 maybe in a day. And you're like, whoa, this is rough, man. But you know what? And so we instantly were like, okay, how do we build these systems so we can kind of get ourselves free? Because my ultimate goal was, what I was interested in was riding those bikes and being outside. And so a year later, we got the money. We set up all the big tour company, and we did really well. It was really popular. And at the same time, the restaurant actually transformed from a sandwich shop, which what it was, to a full-on restaurant. Because there was a space that opened up right in front, and our business started to get really popular. We needed the space, and boom, we're in this new space. But all of a sudden we have a sandwich menu, but we're in a restaurant location. I was like, oh no, now I need to make more of a restaurant menu.
Yeah.
So it kind of flowed together better. And that's kind of how Gringo Mike started. It just is this small little sandwich. And then it turned into people coming. And then it was local Colombians would come. And they're like, you got a hamburger? And I was like, no, because I was into the fitness, I was trying to, And I go, I swear 25% of the people walked in that little sandwich shop walked out because we didn't sell a hamburger. I had no idea the hamburgers were so important here. And I'm this American guy, and I refused to make a hamburger or have a fries because I didn't want a fryer, right? Because I wanted what I wanted.
Healthy food.
What you learn in life, it's not about what you want. It's the value you provide for other people, and that's business, right? So, but anyways, my selfishness motivated me to start. That was the point. And then I got rid of that. Yeah.
So did you get investors for that, or did you just use your own money, or did you how did you start that? Because that was one of your main passions at the time, right?
Yeah. Well, Kat, my business partner, she actually financed the mountain biking tour company, and it was her business. And it was her. She had a visa under that business as well, since my business was under Gringo Mike.
You had two different visas.
Well,
for two
we
different
had to.
businesses,
You know,
yeah.
we're not married. We're not. I don't know how that works with all the visas, but we each needed a visa.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, you get a business, I get a business. Now we can both stay on these same things.
Oh,
And
interesting. Yeah.
I didn't care if it was going to be profitable. I mean, I did, but like I couldn't only care about that.
Yeah.
I had to just do it to see if I even liked the thing.
Yeah.
About 6 months into the thing, I realized this is not for me because I wasn't biking. I was managing a business. I was having to fix vehicles. I mean, massive bike mechanics. I wasn't a mechanic. I mean, it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And we had the restaurant, which was becoming a great success. So I'm like, and Kat was running the restaurant at the time. You know, it was just too much. You know, it was so much. So, anyways, but I knew the only way I could now sell a business like this was to build a brand. So in the end, what I learned was I just build brand. It really isn't about anything else because the value of the company is in the brand. When somebody buys your mountain bike company, they're buying old bikes, old sweaty stuff, you know, stuff you've put through the ringer, but at a premium value because of why? Your brand, right? Gringo Mike's is a strong brand in the region, so the brand power is great. This thing at the time was called Colombian Bike Junkies. We were the #1 in Lonely Planet, #1 in TripAdvisor. Gringo Mike was #1 in everything for like 10 years. Every guidebook, every single thing you could imagine.
Congrats on that, huh?
Well,
Congrats.
I used to take it like it was like, oh, this is so important to me. And so for me, like, we don't even do marketing.
Right.
I don't need to show you how good I am. You can see it, right?
And so getting back to the bike topic, that you made this brand where the bike company was really popular and people recognized the brand as being this amazing adventure bicycle brand or mountain biking brand.
Tour company.
Tour company. So you decided at that point you decided to sell it, or did you keep it for a while?
No, basically when I told you after 6 months, and I kind of realized, I saw the potential in Gringo Mike's and I was like, oh man, we need to focus our energies more in this, you know, to be honest with you. But I knew it was going to be really hard to sell this mountain biking company for those reasons. It took me 6 years to make it so popular that it was attractive to somebody that wanted to buy it.
So did you just basically put that objective that you wanted to get break even and then sell?
Because in the end, you know, you want to just...
Sure, just don't
we had
go
a
under.
great experience.
Just no red numbers.
Yeah, and a cool experience. And she's even great about it. She's like, we had a good adventure. You know? Like, it was cool, like really cool.
Awesome.
And then that was we sold it. And then unfortunately, you know, her mom had some health issues and she had to go home. We're still partners. She comes back to visit once a year with her kid. She's got a 6-year-old kid now.
Great.
I have a 6-year-old kid. Funny, we both took different paths and ended up with kids.
At the same age?
At the same, like a month apart, like less. And they like look alike too. Blonde, you know, big, because she was like a tall girl. And so she left and then I was kind of just here. And I was a little lost, to be honest with you. And then I ended up moving to Barichara, into a finca. I live in a nature reserve. I mean, there's like 65 species of birds. I mean, it's 9 years ago.
You're in this finca and you have this business now that you're co-owning with her.
But when she left, we decided, there was a girl who we were training since the beginning. She was like our 3rd employee ever. Her name's Maria. Hello, Maria. And Maria now owns everything. She was so good. And she had such a drive and such an ambition to learn. She's been running the company for the last 10 years, the day-to-day operations. She's the legal owner of it as well. Since she's from a local, it's better to have that here.
Sure.
You get a lot less problems when you're a foreigner and you're on a piece of paper.
When your name isn't Gringo Mike?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of perks, you know, but anything, it all balances out in the end. So as much good as there's much the other side. And now we're looking at doing franchises. So that's another thing. If you want to contact us about our franchise opportunities in Colombia.
Things have been going well for you since you started, and you started kind of off of a whim, off of passion, off of something you liked, and it's obviously bloomed into something amazing.
Necessity and passion when they collide.
Right? There you go. I need to do something. I like this.
Yeah.
Let's try it. And here we are today, right? Here I am today in Barichara talking to you. I'd like to say thank you so much for watching my videos. And if you want to show support for my channel, please hit that like and subscribe like always. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can buy me a coffee, you can support me on Patreon, and you can also join my channel as a member. That goes to me and really helps me provide all the things that I need in order to make these high quality videos for you guys here in Latin America. Let's get back to the video.
Oh, wait, we gotta do this delivery. Wait. All right, the cookie. And you?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but you can't have any more. I told you, you gotta stay under 6% body fat, keep those glutes tight, because that's what the customers want. So I'm gonna eat it, all right? Here in Barichara with generic. Did I say that?
Yeah, buddy.